Oh, ladies and gentlemen, are you in for a show this evening? It is episode number 17 of Dads and Ed. We already are having technical difficulties. I'm on a second computer. Brent's at his office. Devin's sitting on the porch for some unknown reason. I don't know why he thinks that's going to help anything. But at any rate, we are here. We are super excited to be here. We have a great show lined up as always. No matter how terrible we are, our guests are rock stars. So we'll be fine. If you want to join in the conversation, tweet us at Dads and Ed. Hopefully one of us will figure out how to use Twitter and not crash the rest of everything. Also use the hashtag Dads and Ed. You can email us at any time. Barb in Nebraska, first emailer ever, and only emailer ever actually. So thanks to Barb. My name is Josh Allen, J_Allen on the Twitters. I may get that up here at some point tonight. Very excited to be here. I had a religious ed meeting with my son and then Boy Scouts, so I walked in 10 minutes ago to a computer that's not working. So we are in well-oiled machine mode tonight. Brent, Devin, either one of you want to go first?
I'll go. Hi, I'm Brent Catlett, Director of Technology at Independence School District down in Independence, Missouri in the Kansas City area. I am luckily and happily married to an amazing woman named Josie. We have 4 children, and as I announced in the 16th episode, another one on the way in February. We're still looking for a house here in the Kansas City area to grow into. We're currently renting this situation month to month. Put a bid in on a house, in fact, today. Kind of lowballed them, so I'm kind of hoping to hear some good news back at some point with at least a counter of some kind. I assume they will not accept the offer I put in, but I'm hoping for a little counteraction. You know, a couple days here I might be a homeowner here in the Kansas City Independence area.
Very nice.
Awesome.
I'm Devin Schoening. I'm a K-12 instructional technology coach, program lead. I don't know. They change my title every year. In Council Bluffs, Iowa, and I have a great wife and 2 wonderful children that are in 3rd and 5th grade, and you know, I just figured the porch was the right way to go tonight. I think my Wi-Fi is going to be strong enough to hold this out for the whole show, and what I figured is even if it goes out, I'm still way behind Josh in number of times that my technical issues would have messed up the show. So yeah, so I'm good to go. I think we're golden.
I'm always happy to make you guys look good, and don't worry, every week I bring it. Oh man, I did notice I was listening to the episode that I crashed 2 weeks ago with the wonderful Joe Mazza, and we owe him another show, by the way, if he's watching.
We do.
I didn't even mention like the whole intro. I've been doing that intro 15 times straight. I get one summer break, and the show goes down farther than what it was before, so crazy. So this week, we're going to generally, if you have followed the show in the past, we do kind of a water cooler segment, just a little bit about what it is that you are talking about around the water cooler. And today was kind of just a crazy day in sports. We had the second NBA owner. This one actually willingly gave up his team due to some inappropriate racist emails that he had sent 2 years later, but good for him, I guess, for stepping away and not dragging it out like the previous one had done. And then the situation with Ray Rice came up in the NFL, and if you haven't been following the story, this summer Ray Rice was suspended 2 games by the NFL after it was the surface that he had drug his then fiance by the hair out of a hotel, and then let's see, the Roger Goodell, the judge, jury, and executioner with the NFL said, well, you get 2 games, which of course everyone deemed kind of a slap on the wrist. And so today TMZ found the elevator video of him actually hitting his then fiance at the time. Subsequently, the Ravens released him, and the NFL suspended him indefinitely. So, gentlemen, your thoughts on what went down today? Devin, we'll start with you since we started with Brent last time.
Yeah, the interesting thing was I heard a couple of people today on TV talking about, looking at it through the perspective of if that was my daughter kind of thing. and just as a terrible thing. The one thing that they've talked a lot about, this whole idea of domestic abuse, and if we're going to take it seriously, then there has to be something. It can't be a slap on the wrist. I've got other guys in the league who right now are kind of have been charged with domestic abuse, and nothing comes of it. The other thing I thought was interesting, it was today, John Becker tweeted something in the middle of the day about when it was happening. He said, thinking about Ray Rice, Donald Sterling, Bruce Levinson, etc., and what it means that everything we do is now documented electronically. And I thought that was such like a perfect point to make, that it really is so much different now living when we do. And it seems like everywhere, either there's a camera because there's one there, or someone has a cell phone, or emails are recorded. And John and I kind of had a real brief back and forth about that whole idea, and how most folks, I don't think, consider that at all. So whether it's a chat or a text or an email, I don't even think that those things are really there forever, and that they're viewable by so many people.
Yeah, very good point, Devin. I think it's definitely a different world, when there were no cell phones being carried around and that sort of thing, or so much surveillance being done. My cousin on Facebook made a good point about the video. Like, how did the NFL not get a hold of that video before TMZ? This happened. So it was, it's kind of weird. And of course, TMZ's out to sell magazines and website, stuff and advertising, I'm sure, and all that good stuff. But so it's just kind of interesting to me too from that perspective. But I grew up in a house where my dad, if you touched my sister, you were dead. And obviously, like, none of us would support any guy putting his hands on another woman, and any woman for that matter. And so that bothers me deep at the core. And the other part of that, I dreamed of being a Major League Baseball player, right? And if I had an ounce of what this guy has in his pinky and his ability athletically, I would have been elated. And here he is, kind of just making these terrible decisions. And the domestic violence, there's no place for that, like, in society. There's no place for that in the NFL. I don't care what you're doing, who you are. So as far as I'm concerned, he should be gone, for good. I just don't think you're representing an organization in the NFL / the team he plays for, and I don't know. I have zero tolerance for it, to be honest.
One thing that a comparison that got brought up, fair or not, was to Michael Vick. And, Michael Vick, if you recall, got put in jail for dogfighting, lost his job, went bankrupt, and ended up coming back to the league. And one of the things that I thought is, you look at Ray Rice, running backs don't have a long shelf career, and Ray Rice really wasn't. He was a starting NFL running back. He wasn't anywhere near being great. But I wonder, one of the radio shows I was listening to today said no one's going to touch this guy for at least 3 to 4 years, and I think by then he's done. He's old for a running back. So, in essence, more than likely, his career's probably done at that time. He's not Michael Vick. Michael Vick is a gifted athlete who plays the position at a relatively high level, much better than Ray Rice does running back. But, in essence, his career's done. The other point that I thought was interesting is if the league would have suspended him for 6 games or 8 games, would we be at this point now?
Yeah, I think we would. The problem is it becomes kind of hard to believe that the NFL or the team or someone hadn't seen this video before the suspension was handed out. And if they hadn't seen it, then that's on them. There was somebody on one of the shows today talking about the fact that, the NFL and all the money it has and all the pull it has all kinds of people in place to try and dig things up, to make sure that they're handling, any issues that come up. Or maybe it's so that they can handle it, or so that they can kind of sweep some of these things under the rug, because it gives the NFL a black eye as well. So I find that hard to believe. You're telling me that TMZ was the one that was able to pull this video and nobody else had seen it? The hotel is saying they gave it to the police, and I just can't believe. It's really hard to fathom for me that the NFL or the team wouldn't have had access to this, or wouldn't have the wherewithal to find it, when it seems like it was readily available for people if they wanted it.
Yeah, and Nate Balcom, who's watching the show, he tweeted me that, Devin. Like, I was wondering. He said, I was wondering why the police didn't release that video to the NFL earlier as well. And because am I dreaming up the part where she comes out on the floor, was that shown? But then now we're seeing the actual physical punch that took place. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
It's a really great thing. Interesting how the Ravens dumped him, though, as well. That they were talking about that on a show. I was watching some SportsCenter stuff on my Apple TV before this evening, and kind of interesting tidbits there, too, in the realm of the Ravens dropping him kind of even before the NFL got involved, and which is kind of unprecedented. It hasn't, to my knowledge anyway, at least what they were saying on the show, that hasn't happened.
Well, I think that's true, but they could have done more also. I mean, if they really believed, it's like somebody said, when you saw the video of him dragging her out of the elevator, what did you think happened inside the elevator? The fact that the video is coming out today that he punched her a couple of times it shouldn't be that much of a shock. Now, it's shocking to see it, but it shouldn't be a shock to know that happened. I mean, how else do you think she's being drug out? And boy, the thing that was really scary about the whole deal is that he punches her, she falls and hits her head on that railing, and then lays there, shows absolutely no remorse. There is no emotion as trying to see if she's okay. I don't think any of us would want, I don't think anybody out there would want their worst moment captured on film. So let's give Ray Rice the benefit of the doubt and say this was the worst moment of his life. Well, if it's really the worst moment and it's not who you are, then you're immediately remorseful. You're immediately kind of trying to figure out, oh my God, what did I do, and try and help this person. He just stands there and watches her lay there. It was really disturbing to watch.
And Coach Sauter just brought this up too, and it was something I wanted to get to. Should Roger Goodell be fired? He's always said since he got there that he was running the show. If he hands down, like in the Josh Gordon case, the Browns wide receiver who's got suspended for the year for drugs, multiple offenses by the way. If Josh Gordon appeals, he appeals to Roger Goodell, the same guy who gave him the punishment. So everything has gone. You've made yourself the figurehead of the greatest, most profitable sports organization in history. Should he be gone as well?
Well, Keith Olbermann made the point today that he should be, and a whole bunch of other people should be. I think, regardless of the suspension, regardless of any of that, I think if it comes out, and I can't imagine how it won't, that he had seen that video prior to making the suspension, the 2-game suspension, he saw both videos, then there's no doubt that he should be fired.
I would agree with that. And does he get fired otherwise? I don't know. I mean, yeah, to me it would kind of depend on those factors, like what did he know and not know, and what decisions were made based on, some of that stuff. Like, it's kind of like the Penn State scenario of what was being told to Joe Paterno and what he was doing or not doing with that information, But
I will say I agree completely with Coach Sauter. I mean, the fact that you would only get 2 games for doing something this brutal to someone else, to another human being, and get 4 games for taking whatever the drug is. I don't care what the drug is. It's
right.
Not worse than what Ray Rice did. It's just not.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
It's it's scary that someone is okay with doing this to someone else, and we all know that it happens way more than what gets caught on tape. But I agree with you, Devin. I saw you back and forth with John about the video camera, and I mean, it's crazy. Everyone's got one. Anytime you watch a concert, there's thousands of people with their phones up, and they're everywhere. And it'll be really interesting the next few weeks when all the facts start coming out about whether or not, or who knew what when, to see if the owners do push to have Goodell gone.
Yeah.
It's not a good start to the year and then the Patriots lose in the second half. The flagship program of the NFL goes down the tubes in the second half versus the Dolphins.
That's
it's
right.
Not a good start for the NFL this year.
Right. NFL wants a reboot.
right, gentlemen. Moving on to the dad moment of the week. So we, as I mentioned before, I have a 6, a 4, and a 2-year-old. We have gone crazy with activities so far this year. Monday nights, we now have religious ed. Tuesday nights are Cub Scouts. Wednesday night is soccer practice for 2 kids. Thursday night is soccer practice for the older one, and Saturdays are soccer games. So, of course, our first soccer game last week, I left my phone at home, so I grabbed my wife's to do a little videotaping. Literally 15 seconds into men's first soccer game, he makes a goal. And good old Dad wasn't ready for it. I didn't have the phone ready. It was out of focus. And, of course, it was the only goal that he scored that day. So Dad fail of the week is me and my lack of videotaping skills. I did try. He ended up playing goalie later. I did try and redeem myself. And I did get a couple of his stops, but I was way too far away. When I looked at it later, I'm like, oh, that's pathetic. So I'm going to get my game face ready. Well, now that I think about it, I'm actually going to miss their game this Saturday because I will be in Grand Island at Ed Camp Central, Nebraska. So hopefully the 20th. Wait, we're not going to be there for that one either. Hopefully at some point this year I will get my videotaping skills back up and have a game. So when he goes into the Major League Soccer Hall of Fame, we'll be able to show that. So that is my dad failing moment of the week.
Very cool.
Brent, you want to go or you want me to?
Go ahead.
Okay, I was just dawned on me too to try to find a link to this, so I'll get this out on Twitter as well. But so for me, this weekend, the kids and I, my wife, went to Union Station here in Kansas City. Actually, there was an art festival going on at the Crown Center nearby, which was really cool as well. And so we kind of scooped over there, walked through, and saw these artists that were literally just kind of drawing on the ground and the bricks and all this of the Crown Center area. Just some awesome stuff. And I have my oldest boy is into art, so that was really fun to kind of see his reaction to all of that. But anyway, so then we make our way over to Union Station to kind of check out things over there. Totally going kind of just not knowing, just want to go over and check things out. We saw, my wife saw something about King Tut. So it turns out to be pretty expensive. We bail on that idea, but come across this place called Science City in the Union Station. And if you haven't been there, I highly suggest it. I'm going to tweet the link to the place. So if you do have some kids and you come to Kansas City, amazing place for kids. I mean, they could play there for days. So many great things. And for me, I just enjoyed it so much as a dad. Just kind of, my wife and I, of course, it's zone defense, 2-on-2 at that scenario. And so we're, kind of trying to watch. Sometimes it's a 3-on-1. It depends on the situation. But because they just were so excited about all the things they could see and do. And literally it's 3 levels of stuff and all these different activities and places they could create and make things. And I was super impressed. And we're gonna look into getting a pass for the year. Actually, it's that good, and it's actually very reasonable. So I was shocked, and I said we were definitely either asking for Santa to bring that to us or getting it ourselves because it is an awesome place. So for me, that was my dad edit moment of the week. Just getting to spend time with the kids and watching their excitement and all these different things of creating and playing and building things. And it was awesome.
That's very cool. I'm going to start my dad moment of the week by saying that the one disadvantage of being on the porch is that there are a lot of bugs out there. Like a praying mantis crawling on the back of the chair. I might have to move myself inside. So there's mine is really kind of something simple, and I'm sure lots of people have had this experience here in the last few weeks. We just started school. This is our 2nd week. So the girls just went back to school. They're 3rd and 5th grade now, and the cool thing is that you continue to see them kind of morph into their own people, and it's always surprising to me, always cool to me how different they are, even at a young age, even at 8 and 10, that they're kind of their own little people. And my youngest daughter, Claire, just started doing some cheering for football this fall, and she just loves it. She has all kinds of pep and spirit, and she's just so excited to do that. And my other daughter is kind of into soccer and kind of doing a little more athletic kinds of things, and it's just fun to watch them kind of move into these realms where they're just their own little people. And I couldn't be more proud of kind of who they're becoming and what they do, and it's fun for me to be able to kind of watch them find themselves and become these kind of little people. So there's not one specific moment for me these last couple of weeks. It's more about just kind of enjoying watching them grow up and be kind of unique individuals. So with that, I see we've got Jimmy in.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, one of us didn't have tech issues tonight. All right, we're doing good.
I'm just sitting here listening to your conversation. Holy cow, you guys are pretty serious about your conversations. I'm already intimidated.
Tonight with the that was a little more serious conversation to start the show, but
it was. Holy cow.
You got to lighten things up now.
Right. I'm a little disappointed in Josh that he missed his, first soccer goal. I mean, what kind of dad would do that?
All right.
The kind of dad that wrecks the technology every other week on this show.
Exactly.
Jimmy, precursor here, just be careful. All of a sudden, if this goes off, it's all Josh's fault. It has been
no problem. I understand that. Brent, here's why I'm impressed with you. Brent looks like he's in HD. I mean, that is a sweet-looking picture that you have going there, Brent.
Thank you very much. I had to sport the Royal shirt, which, by the way, Jim York out in York, Nebraska, just tweeted me about it on the show here on Dad's and Ed hashtag. So, yeah, it's a Be Royal KC kind of shirt. We're hunting for October down here. So
that's right. Man,
yeah.
KC was hurting yesterday, though, weren't they?
Yeah, today they took a beating, too, from Detroit, so that's not good. This is a big series with Detroit, so we're in trouble. If we lose all three, it could get ugly quick.
Exactly. So, hi, Devin. Good to see you, buddy. How are you doing?
Good to see you. I'm doing great. I'm hanging out on the porch on a beautiful night, so doesn't get any better.
I can see that. Good for you. Hey, I'm just going to be up front right now and tell you I am not going to be able to maintain the same standard as Joe Mazza did. So I'm just going to go on record right now and say that.
Well, whether you can do that or not, and the joke earlier that Brent said about the show stopping, we cut Joe off right in the middle. Josh
he was too good.
turned the show off right in the middle, so we have to have Joe back because we didn't even get to finish the show.
Okay. So here's the full story, Jimmy. So last week I forgot my headphones, so I was muting myself every time I got done talking. And somehow the mute button and the end broadcast button, which are nowhere near each other on the Google Hangout screen, got me confused because they're both red. So, yeah, I ended the show way too early. Joe was too awesome. He was upstaging all of us. We do not let our guests upstage us. So if you get too good, you may get cut off. We'll just tell you that. Devin said we had nothing to worry about. You wouldn't be that good.
It sounds like I'm going to make it through the whole show then.
Awesome.
I'll probably be your first guest that ever goes into overtime. I'm so bad.
Wow. I like it. Hey, just tell our thousands and thousands of listeners, tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Well, my name is Jimmy Casas. I'm a high school principal right now. I've been doing that job for the last 13 years. Before that, I was an associate principal at City High School in Iowa City, and before that, I was an associate principal in Milwaukee Public Schools as well as a classroom teacher. And at that time, back in the it seems like forever ago, 1992, I was a bilingual education teacher in Milwaukee Public Schools. So. Just feel blessed to work in the greatest education that there is, which is called being a teacher, being an administrator, the greatest profession there is for our children. So feel very blessed and very fortunate.
Hey, Jimmy, being a principal obviously requires a lot of your time, and I've been there and done that for 6 years, and now I'm in this director role, which probably isn't much better, probably worse for that matter, but how do you go about balancing your work as a principal and your role as a dad? Because that's something that the three of us talk a lot about on the show, but we're curious what your take is on that situation.
I'll be real honest. I mean, if I'm really candid about it, that is not something I did very well early on in my career. You know, just a struggle for, I think, a lot of people who take their work very seriously. And part of that has to do with just in growing up. I mean, my father and my mother had tremendous work ethics, spent a lot of time working, and really modeled that for us. And so, you know, when I became a teacher and then became an administrator, that was a struggle for me. I spent a lot of long hours trying to be the best administrator I could be, trying to make my family proud of me, trying to make my parents proud of me, especially feeling the pressures, I'll just be honest, being a Latino and trying to feel the pressures of really having to succeed and to demonstrate to people that, you know, minorities could have, you know, some leadership skills and really lead organizations and be really good at what they did. So I feel like I missed out on a lot of my kids when they were younger, and you know, oftentimes I look back and I feel really guilty about that. At the time, my wife did a tremendous job. You know, honestly, I would kid all the time of raising 3 children on her own. And so, you know, honestly, I've spent probably the last, you know, I would say probably 5 to 10 years trying to make up for that in different ways and trying to be more available for my children and trying to find a little bit of balance. But I'll just be honest, it's a struggle for me even today because the high school principal job is just so consuming. And so, you know, when I was doing the job, my wife would always tell me it isn't the amount of time that you spend with us, but it's the quality of the time that when you're with us, that you're with us. And I've always tried to remember that as much as possible. And so, but right now I have 2 children that are already grown and gone. They're both in college. And then I have a daughter who's a freshman. And I feel like I have another opportunity to do it right for my 3rd child. But honestly, I feel like I've been a better father. And I think my older 2 children would say that to you here, especially in the last few years. I've just, you know, I just like anything, you just try to get better at it as you go through it. So,
If your 3rd one's a freshman, she may want you to go back to the kind of hands-off of the older 2.
yeah, it's kind of funny. You know, it's funny. You think you raise all your children the same, but they all end up with different personalities. And so, you know, I had my son when he first came into high school. You know, we'd have the conversation. You know, sure you want to go to the school that Dad's the principal at? And they were very adamant that they wanted to do that. So, but in the first couple of years, you know, he would have a real hard time with it when I was in school, and I'd walk into his classroom or something. He'd say, "Hey, Dad, can you do me a favor? Can you not come into my classroom when I'm in there?" And I'm like, "Hey, AJ, that's part of my job of what I do." And so, you know, it's not like I'm checking your schedule to see where you're at and go find you and walk into your classroom. But it's funny because by the time he graduated, I think he had just grown a different appreciation and really matured, and you know, wouldn't hesitate to hug me in the hallway or to reach out of his way and say hi to me or embrace me or tell me he loved me there in front of his friends. And then my middle daughter, who's now 19, but she all 4 years did everything she could to possibly avoid me. Unless, of course, she either needed a signature or money. Then she would always seem to find me. And then my 3rd one here, my freshman, I think is really excited about, you know, being there. And she's, I think, just has a different personality than all 3 of them. Honestly, I don't think she really cares. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I've only been with her for about 1 month now in school, so it's been pretty awesome so far.
A couple quick shout-outs on the hashtag. First one goes out to E. Schoening. That would be wife of D. Schoening, Devin, for tweeting out a picture of Devin out on the front porch. I think there's a large bug right behind you, Devin. Watch out. Where'd the other one go? Sauter, I heard what you said about my tech issues, and yes, it's true. Jim York, yes, I'm growing a playoff beard. Hopefully I can make it to the playoffs.
Josh, I think it looks good, so I wouldn't worry.
Thanks, man. You know, this has been going on since about Christmas, and it's been trimmed down quite a few times, and I'm pretty sure any day now the wife will suggest that maybe it get a little shorter. So we'll see.
Yeah, it looks really good. And Brent, I mean, I'm just staring at Brent's hair. I just want his hair. That's all I want.
Yeah. You and me both, brother.
It's thinning quickly, Jimmy, with all this administration work of mine, you know, so it won't be long.
I bet after you left the principalship, when the director of technology, I bet it all grew back, didn't it?
Yeah, I wish. I noticed some whites in here now. Yeah, it's getting
I had a full head of hair when I went to Bettendorf back in 2002, and within 5 years it was all gone. And I'm not making that up. I can show you the picture when I got hired.
One of the things that I know that you're passionate about is the work on Twitter and some of the things that Iowa's doing. Talk a little bit about the inspiration for Iowa EdChat and how that all came about. And we do have to say, full disclosure, Devin is also on Iowa EdChat. So
Yeah, he's awesome. We've got a great team.
Go ahead and talk a little bit about that, Jimmy.
Yeah, I can tell you, well, first of all, I would say about 3 years ago, we hired a new assistant principal at that time. His name was Matt Degner. And he was really what I would say, the young buck. When we went out, we were looking at that time to go one-to-one. And we were looking for someone who could actually come right in, maybe who had been involved in a school that was one-to-one, maybe had been involved in a rollout and those types of things. But when we interviewed Matt, we knew right away he was the right fit for us at Bettendorf High School. And he really, honestly, is who just kind of modeled for me and, really kind of made me step up my game. I mean, as a principal, I hired this really young, talented administrator, and he just inspired me, to be honest with you, and motivated me to go out and get better. So at that point, became more and more connected, and as we began to get on chats and I began to get more active with Twitter, just made the decision that, hey, we could do this in the state of Iowa. At that time, I think we were joining a lot of East Coast chats, and thought, well, why can't we do this in the state of Iowa? So Matt and I had reached out to Aaron Becker, because Aaron was involved in a lot of the state chats as well with us. And so we said, hey, why don't we go ahead and form our own state chat and get that going? So we just kind of did that, and from there it kind of took off, and it just continued to grow and grow, and we became more and more active, and then felt that we wanted to extend our team and extend our show, and recognized that we had 3 high school administrators and really needed to reach out and get some diversity in our team. And at that time decided to reach out for Shannon and Devin and Dan Butler, just because they were so active and we knew of them, and honestly had a lot of respect from people in Iowa for the work that they were doing. So we're just grateful, we're excited, and couldn't ask for a better team.
It has been fun. I love working with all of you. And, Jimmy, you guys have a lot of good things going on in Bettendorf. I know you're proud of your school and the people that you work with. Can you talk a little bit about what Bet Pride means? You see I know I've seen the T-shirts and we see the hashtag. What's Bet Pride all about?
Well, I was really fortunate. I mean, I walked into a situation. I mean, Bettendorf just has a great tradition, long history of excellence, great academic programs, great athletic programs, and really just, I grew up in the MAC conference, so I grew up in Muscatine, and we had always looked at Bettendorf as the school, right, as the organization that we all wanted to emulate. So, I mean, that was nothing new. I was just fortunate enough to land at a time when I just feel like they were just ready to go in a different direction, and looking maybe for a different type of leader. And you know how that is. Sometimes you're just at the right place at the right time, and maybe we're looking for someone that was a little bit more energetic, maybe a little bit more visible, and a little bit more passionate about what they were doing. And just, blessed to land at the right place at the right time. So definitely as we started that, and again, just really pushed the whole idea of a school. And at that time, our motto is, we started right away when I got there, it just in working with different individuals, this whole idea of, leading and being a school that was passionate and had a sense of purpose, had a sense of pride, had a sense of spirit. And, we just continued to promote that as much as possible, and really challenge our students and challenge our community, and really to highlight and showcase and be proud of everything that they had accomplished, even long before I was there. I mean, we talk about this all the time. The reality is, I recognize I'm just a guest in that community, and, our time as leaders in different organizations will come and go. But we have a responsibility while we're there to continue to make sure that we do everything we can to maintain a sense of community, and to bring that passion and to bring our best every day to an organization, because that's honestly our responsibility to make sure that we're doing that, especially for our kids, and to model that for our community. So obviously the whole idea of social media has really helped about that, jumped on the bandwagon again there to really begin to promote that, learn from a lot of other leaders who were already doing that, people like Joe Sanfilippo and others who were out there already, I would call, Eric Schenningers of the world, already kind of maybe branding their school, highlighting, and not doing it in a way that was bragging, and not doing it in a way that was saying, hey, look at us, we're great, but more in the sense of saying, look, we're about, why shouldn't we be proud of the things we're doing? Why shouldn't we be highlighting and showcasing and looking at all the great things that schools are doing for kids these days, and not just in my community, but trying to bring respect and a sense of pride to our profession. And so, whether it's Bet Pride or whether it's, your school districts or wherever, we have a responsibility to try to support all of, everyone, and making sure that we're telling the story of our schools in general, because the bottom line is we do have a great profession, and we're very blessed, and most importantly, we have the most important job in the world, and that's to work with our children every day.
Yeah, great stuff, Jimmy. I think I've started a hashtag down here in Independence, ISC Strong, and it's been fun to see us rally around that as a group. And I like your explanation there in the realm of kind of why I'm trying to make that happen versus, like say just kind of bragging and stuff. So I'm going to shift gears just a little bit. I'm going to throw on my Google LeBron.
I see that. Yeah, it's nice.
Oh, wow.
That's nice. I like that.
I'm kind of curious, honestly, as a leader, and kind of developing this with the leaders I have here in my district. How have you used Google Apps? And I know Josh now drinks the Kool-Aid with me. It took several years and a job change in order to get him kind of across the river in Iowa, in fact. And just for the record, no one's perfect. But just teasing all my Iowa friends here. But anyway, have you used Google Apps at all? I know you use Hangouts with Iowa EdChat and all that sort of stuff, but have you used that at all as an administrator with your staff, or promoted that in ways within what you're doing with your staff?
Yeah, of course. I certainly try to model that and try to utilize the tools as much as possible. Whether we're in Google Drive or using Google Apps, or we're sharing documents, or we're trying to collaborate, those types of things. I always tell people, I don't ever try to pretend that I'm an expert, this technology guru kind of guy. I think sometimes people look at me and think, oh, you're on Twitter, you must know a lot about technology and so forth. But honestly, I think it's number one, I think it's important that as a leader, regardless of whatever, whether it's an initiative, whether it's the Iowa Core, or whatever it happens to be, I do think it's our responsibility that we're making sure that, number one, that we understand whatever it is that we're supposed to be doing and what we're supposed to be supporting our kids and our schools and our organization. But we do have a responsibility to model those types of things. However, having said that, I recognize that I also know my strengths, and I also know my weaknesses, and I also know what my passions are. And I also know that my time is limited. I can only learn so much and do so much. I can only be an expert in so many different fields. And so I think it is important that we make sure that we're true to ourselves and what are we passionate about, where's my strengths at, where are my talents at, and make sure that I'm just getting stronger and stronger in those areas. I think sometimes people spend so much time trying to improve their weaknesses that where they should be is in putting more time into their strengths. And I think as leaders, our responsibility is to go out and find those people that have those talents and have that passion for whatever happens to be the case. So I certainly have leaders as part of my team that are very passionate, very savvy, very tech savvy, whether it was Matt Degner, or now I have Christy Kleppe, or I have Colin Wicken. And, whatever our responsibilities are, I think as a leader, it's my responsibility to make sure that I have a strong team that can cover all those areas. But we all cross over. We all know enough to know what we're doing, but we certainly have people that are stronger in those areas than I am. But I know in our district, for example, right now, we are not a Google district. However, we recognize that we're probably going to be going to that route anyway. We're in first class right now, and quite frankly, I'd rather be doing Google and have Gmail. Our students all have Gmail accounts. We all have Gmail accounts as well, but we still use first class. But I think we're going to be making a shift over to Google. I'd prefer to be using Google Calendar. We try to model it so whether it's my team leaders, what we call our team leaders, department chairs, or my own administrative team, we certainly do all the stuff in Google Apps and Google Drive and do all those shared documents and all those types of things, and as much as possible.
Well, Jimmy, Brent makes some really great Google Kool-Aid that people just drink up. Just give him a call. He'll convert them. Don't worry.
Absolutely. In our school, our school right now, we do a lot through Google Forms. We do a lot of training on Google. I can tell you Kyle Pace is going to be up at our school next Monday working with our staff again, continue to improve the skills that our teachers have in terms of using different types of, whether they're what I would call workflow solutions through Google, all those types of things, and of course all the things that our teachers are doing in the classroom right now with sharing documents and collaboration, and to be able to provide effective and more immediate and efficient feedback for our kids, all those types of things that we're seeing in the classrooms right now. And of course we have people like Devin who are, quite frankly, that's what their work is, and you guys do a great job of that, and we really appreciate it. So.
Oh, by the way, Jimmy, I missed you at the Jack Stack gathering down here in Kansas City. I'm not quite sure. I didn't.
Yes.
I missed that invite. I gave Laura and Kyle a hard time about it. All of a sudden, I'm seeing pictures on Instagram of you here, and I'm like, I wanted to meet the guy face to face, and instead I'll settle for HD quality Google Hangout, I guess.
We will make sure that we do not screw that up again. So my apologies for that. That will not happen again. And it's funny because Laura had said the same thing to me the year previous, and I said, "Don't worry, we'll catch you next year," and made sure I did that. So I plan to make that a yearly trip. So you can guarantee that I'll be back down again. So I'll make sure we reach out to you, buddy.
Good deal. Good deal.
You might regret it. I don't know.
We can't get rid of him now.
That hurts.
We even got him a job out of both of our states, and he still comes back.
I know. Nothing we can do.
I know how that is. I can tell you.
We appreciate the time. We've got a few more things. Can you stick around for a few more minutes?
Sure, of course I can. I mean, I already watched the show from the very beginning, so I want to finish. I want to see how you guys close this deal out. I do have to say this, though. I will say this. I was a little hurt, Devin, that I was only guest number 17, and I want you to know that Tech Ninja Todd made me his second guest on Edu All-Stars. So
well,
it only
just so you know, we haven't had Todd on yet.
17. And I would have been okay with 17 as long as Joe Mazza would have been 18. But now that he was 16, jeez, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I know. You know, it just we got so many. We've had so many good people on. You know, it is. We're lucky to have guests like you and like Joe and a bunch of others to carry this thing, because otherwise it really is a sinking ship. So
technically, Jimmy, you're actually guest number 14, I believe, because we did not have one on the first show because Bob Dylan was in San Francisco trying to do it from his phone and it didn't work, and we did not have one for episode 15. So.
Let me ask you a question. So, has Bob Dylan ever come back to do the show, or am I ahead of Bob Dylan?
Well, no, he was there for show number 2.
Okay, you can try to sweet talk me all you want, but I'm just going to say this in closing. Notice that I made it all the way to the end of the show, and you didn't cut me off.
No.
So.
Well, and really, Jimmy, if we would have known. Now, if we would have known that it was going to take Bob Dylan 2 shows to actually complete, one show, I don't know if this would have been number 1. We also had Greg Doyle, CBS sports writer.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so
that's big time. That's big time there. Actually,
yeah, I had nothing to do with it.
I'll tweet out to Bob Dylan tonight, because it's so appropriate that when you did the show for Bob, that you actually had to use the RTI interventions because he needed remediation, so you needed 2 shows to get that taken care of.
And Joe,
that's like Bob.
And Joe Mogg was so good, we just cut him off.
Right.
Like, you're done. You don't need intervention. You're done.
Yeah, you're done. There's no pyramid of interventions big enough to take care of you, Joe. So.
Well, we usually do an app or site, Twitter follow, and a date night place. And luckily, since I cut everybody off last time, we still have the ones from last time to do. I mean, that's less work on our part. So, gentlemen, you're welcome. But this time, you're going to actually have to do them. So, Devin, you're up first.
All right. I was going to share an app or tool, which I will, but I also wanted to do a quick plug for. In November, we'll bring it back up again. I'm sure Josh and I are kind of helping plan it, but we're going to host a Chromebook Institute in Council Bluffs, and so people can go to that website, which is chromebookinstitute.org, Josh?
Sure.
And chromebookinstitute.com, sorry.
Yep, .com.
Check that out. So we're hosting that in Council Bluffs in November. It's going to be a really great event. We'll have lots of great people in to present, and a couple of pretty good speakers, so want to make sure that people get that. We'll tweet that out too, but want to make sure we get people from all over, not just Iowa, but we're trying to got some folks we know that are coming up from Missouri, and hopefully down from South Dakota, and we got a bunch of Nebraska people coming, so want to make sure we get a plug for that, and we'll tweet that out. The tool that I wanted to share is one it's a Google Drive add-on called Pear Deck. And Pear Deck was started by a startup in Iowa City, and they do a really great job of making interactive slides. So we've got lots of teachers using that. We were a beta tester for them last year, and then they started doing some pricing this year. So we were lucky enough to get in with some pretty good pricing for being a beta tester. But what essentially happens is teachers can create these slides. Students will join via a code, and then the teacher kind of moves through the slides. And on any of those slides, there are lots of interactive pieces that teachers can use to gather some formative data. And the part that I like about it is it's not just your typical formative data where it's you answer a multiple choice question or you answer a short answer question. They do some really great things for things like math, where they're movable and interactive. So you might have some things on a screen and move the red dot to move a red line to where halfway would be on an apple. And you can really get some pretty good analytics back. You can add it directly from Google Drive, so it does it integrates perfectly with Google Drive, and it's just a really great tool to push kids through some information and to collect formative data rather quickly. And it's just a really great tool. Probably one of those tools. We share things with teachers all the time, and it's one of those that I don't think I've ever heard a negative about it. It's one that teachers have used and they all kind of love. And it has a purpose to be used. It's not just kind of a superfluous tool. So if you haven't checked out Pear Deck, I would suggest checking out the free version of Pear Deck, and then you can talk to the folks over there at Pear Deck. They're really great people from Iowa, and we want to promote their product. So Pear Deck is the app I want to share tonight.
I actually just changed mine.
Man, game time
Not based
decision.
on that. It was.
Game time decision for Josh tonight.
It was. And I have good reason for it. So my Twitter follow that I just put on the hashtag Dads and Ed is LCTH_principal. Kent Stopak is the principal of our intermediate building, 2nd through 5th grade. And when I originally wrote the notes down, the person I had, I still would have you follow that person. But for the show's sake, things have changed since then a little bit, in that Kent's really embraced the whole Twitter thing, and it really goes along with what Jimmy was talking about with showing pride in your building and taking ownership and building that culture. And so during our back to school event, Kent and I were kind of talking, and he had some ideas about Twitter, and he's really latched onto that, and he's really gotten his staff involved, and they created their own hashtag LC Titan Hill, which their teachers are really starting to use, and it's been great to see them moving on. So I really appreciate, one of the things that I really like about just a lot of the people that are there is just the culture of trying new things and taking risks a little bit. And so Ken's done a really great job of modeling that for his teachers. LCTH_principal. He's also a member of the _posse, which I always have to give a great plug to. So that was my Twitter follow for the week.
Fabulous. I'm up for date night here in Kansas City, which currently I've not been on one since I've moved to July the 1st, because I have 4 kids, and no one wants to take on 4 kids. Anywho, I was thinking back to the time when I was minus like 2 or 3 of those kids, and my wife and I would come to Kansas City from Omaha and go on dates. And one of the places I took her to was a place called Lydia's. It's off of 22nd Street for my Kansas City friends that might be following the show. But anywho, down by the Union Station, it's a great place. I'll send off my tweet here with the link to the restaurant, and as well as their Twitter handle. And excellent Italian restaurant. Perhaps, my wife, she enjoyed it enough that we continued to procreate, have more children. So I think it's a great place. It was a romantic place, as I recall. This is years ago. So anyway, I think it still exists. The website's active, as far as I can tell. Twitter is as well. No, I'm just messing around, but it's a great place. So check it out if you get down to Kansas City. I would recommend it.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you guys think I do bad research. He doesn't even know if the restaurant's still there. It could be some guy sitting in his...
Brent, you need to know the reason why I didn't want to invite you off the barbecue because your wife told us that you couldn't go out.
That's probably true.
She said, don't even bother to invite him. He's not going anywhere. He's staying home. He wanted these darn children. Now he can stay home with them every night. So.
Same kind of about your agent and getting you on the show. We couldn't get past the agent. You know what I mean?
Oh, man.
Definitely, keeps me on the reel.
Lovely, lovely.
Gentlemen, it's been another wonderful evening. We are going to be back in 2 weeks, September 22nd. We are efforting the guest. I will hint that we are going to address some possible West Coast bias issues, and that we have had no one farther west than actually me on this show. Actually, if I think about it, even when Brent did live in Omaha, I still had farther west than him. So we are going to look at possibly the West guest. We have at least one invite out there, and be sure to check at Dads and Ed for continued updates. But we will have that September 22nd in 2 weeks. Jimmy, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to spend it with us. It's been a blast. We are so sorry that it took us so long for you to get on here. We will have to make that up to you. Maybe, Brent, I'll let you babysit like 2 or 3 of the kids next time you're in Kansas City.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, I want to give a quick shout out to Steven Souter too, who's been watching the show. I think he tweeted in here just a few weeks out from having a baby, 5 weeks.
That's right.
Hey, I'm praying for him and thinking about him and his wife. I'm looking forward. That'll be his first baby, so excited for him and his family.
We have a contestant for a New Year, new baby guest.
Right. Hey, Brent, I was going to share out with you real quick here that you may have 4 children, but my associate principal, she has 5 children, and she's been administrator for, as long as I have, and she does a phenomenal job. But so until you get to 5, I don't want to hear any more excuses. Okay, see if you can bring your game to
Jimmy, February. 5. I got 5.
She has her own basketball team. What do you have? She has her own basketball team. So she's amazing, but you need to have mothers in ed because she would be the number one guest for you. I'm just telling you because she's an amazing mom, and she's the one actually is a great mentor to me to always remind me to make sure I'm keeping balance with my kids. So she's awesome. So her name's Joy Kelly. So you need to have a moms in ed, and then she would be your first guest.
Awesome. I think that's a great idea. I think we should have a moms in ed.
Right.
We've tried.
Somebody out there needs to start that. So we need to get that promoted and working on that tonight.
We've even tried, Jimmy, to have our wives on once or twice just to prove that we have them and have kids and all that. And I think what happened is early on in the show, sometimes our wives would be in the background and we called them the peanut gallery. It didn't go over all that well. So
no.
I think that hurt our chances of actually having our wives on.
Yeah, and Devin, I think there's more to the story. The fact that you're doing this show from your back porch, I think there's more to the story than what you're really telling us.
No one will ever know.
Yeah. And Brent laughed that he's in the Taj Mahal of all offices. I can see your office, Brent. That is embarrassing. I want to know how many. Seriously, I want to know how many classroom teachers right now are short desks because of your furniture. They don't even have the technology in their classrooms to do the things they need to do to help their children because look at your office.
The sad thing, Jimmy, is when he took the job, he demanded new furniture and the biggest office.
Here we go.
He worked it into his contract.
Yeah. He said,
this will be the last time I ever get invited back on a show with Brent and Josh. I can guarantee you that right now. When you get off the air, they're going to be saying, and whose idea was it to bring this guy on? Great. Nice work, Devin. That's what they're going to say. So, thank you guys sincerely. You guys are awesome. Really appreciate it. And anything we can do to help support you guys in your show. And just thank you for all that you do for kids. Because I don't, not that I sit here and pretend that I know you. Obviously, I follow you guys on Twitter. But I do know Devin. And I know Devin's character, and I know his integrity, and the fact that he hangs with you two says a lot about you two because he's really a great guy. So I mean that sincerely. So Thank you very much for the opportunity
Appreciate
tonight,
it.
and hopefully this will be the beginning of another relationship that I can connect more with you two, and I really look forward to that. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jimmy. I appreciate
Thanks.
it.
All right, we'll see everyone in 2 weeks. Thank you, sir.
All
Bye,
right,
everyone.
Good job.
Good
See
night.
you later.